Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
In our show today, we'll show you what's going on at the state's largest tech park, NELHA, the Natural Energy Laboratory Authority of Hawaii in Kona, next to the airport.
We'll take a drive around NELHA, meet its CEO, and we'll take a peek at some of the tech companies that are doing research and business there.
The legislature established NELHA as an energy incubator in 1974, and it ultimately set aside 877 acres on the ocean next to the airport in Kona for NELHA to be a home for energy research and development.
We'll meet Ron Baird, NELHA's CEO, and have a tour of its 877 acres. We'll see NELHA's enormous size and striking Kona coastline, and we'll visit with some of its long-term research and industrial tenants.
The CEO, Ron Baird, is very knowledgeable about the terrain, as well as the history and development of NELHA and its various tenants.
NELHA surrounds the airport on three sides, and if you look at it, it's like an ancient Hawaiian fishhook. The Gateway Energy Center, built by federal funds, dedicated in the fall of 2004 for distributed energy research, as well as education of the public on the need for conservation of energy and finding alternative energies. The first LEED Platinum certified building in the state of Hawaii. In other words, it's extremely energy efficient, uses recycled materials and as much of it as possible. It does produce a lot more energy than it uses, so the air conditioning is all solar. Inside there are coils and coils and coils of black irrigation pipe that we run cold seawater through. The cold seawater attracts condensation out of the air. The condensation from the air drops in a big tank. It's blown in, it's actually pulled in to the basement of the building, because at the top there's a copper roof that's got two parts to it, and as the sun heats the copper roof up, the heat sucks the hot air out, so that sucks cold air in from the basement and cools the entire building. The same architects that designed this building have been employed by the West Hawaii Explorations Academy to design its new campus, which is going to go over here across the street. From here, you can see the water plants and on down right to the ocean there. And coming on down the hill sequentially from Koyo, there's a company called Destiny Deep Sea Waters, Hawaii Deep Marine, Savers Holding, Moana Technologies, Kona Deep Corporation, which is a water bottler, Big Island Abalone.
So how many tenants altogether?
Altogether, there's 45. Over 25 of them are doing aquaculture or marine development of new marine-based products for consumption. There are 6 companies here doing energy research and experimentation. Well, the total now has 877 acres. We have approximately 245 acres developed. We have about 150 acres that's road right-of-ways, 2 big archaeological preserves. We have 3 sets of pump stations. Each pump station has surface water and deep water capabilities. 2 of them go down 2,000 feet. The pride and joy and what people from all over the world call a national treasure is our 55-inch pump station. It's a huge pipe you'll see when we get down there.
55 inches across.
55 inches in diameter. It's capable of producing a tremendous amount of cold water for aquacultural or energy production purposes, such as a scale-up ocean thermal energy conversion plant. We have a proposal out to build a no-tech plant. We have a considerable amount of interest from several private companies who are interested in bidding to demonstrate their technology using NELHA's facility. This is the West Hawaii Explorations Academy, the high school.
Ah, the one you mentioned, okay.
Yes. Actually, the pipes land out there about 800 feet from this pump station. There's 2 great big tunnels that were drilled out there. Pipes were fitted into those tunnels. One pipe, the deep sea water pipe, then goes on out and down 3,000 feet. The other pipe brings in surface seawater from about 80 feet. The NELHA staff runs 3 different pump stations, and the reliability of producing and delivering water to the tenants is 9 nines. Right now we're talking about 15,000 gallons a minute from all 3 pump stations. As Big Island Abalone expands and as Lockheed really ramps up the OTEC heat exchanger work, those two operations themselves will add something like 23 to 25,000 gallon a minute demand, which will take the total production up to about 40,000 gallons a minute. What Mauna Kea is to astronomy, NELHA is and can be even more so in the future for the ocean. And that's been a goal and an objective since I've been here the last 6 years.
I know that.
Bring in a lot more science.
I know that, and you have, and that's great.
Well, thank you, Joe.
I admire you for that.
Thanks a lot.
You've done a great job. After our tour, we met some of the tenants at NELHA. We started with a visit with Cecilia Viljoen, R&D Director at Big Island Abalone. They're in the middle of a huge expansion. It's a very impressive operation. Where do you actually market the abalone?
We sell mostly in Japan, but we also sell locally. We're kind of working on doubling our production. Yes, and we're changing the system a little bit to make it, to basically increase the productivity. In aquaculture, South Africa is the third biggest one, so you get Korea first, then China, and then South Africa and Chile is kind of on par. I think the great thing about growing abalone is, I mean, we have perfect conditions with the deep sea water and the surface sea water, and we can mix it in whichever ratios we want to get whichever temperatures we choose.
So what's the secret to growing good abalone?
Lots of tender loving care. This is where we keep the broodstock, we keep it air conditioned, keep conditions as cool as possible and yet consistent. We have them on a day-night cycle, so the lights will go off at night. Feed them the best algae we have and really just take good care of them since, you know, they're the most important abalone on the farm.
So
Yes.
you come around 27 times a day, watch them?
Yes, I do.
Your percentage of success must be very high when you're so careful like that.
Yeah, it is pretty high. I would say we're getting from the larvae that we put in a tank to what we actually take out of that tank, we're probably getting, say, anything from 15 to 25% success, which is really high. I think industry shoots for 5% is good. Okay, and then as they grow, we grade them every 4 months. They get graded or moved.
Do you grow the seaweed yourself?
Yes. So that's all the ponds you see over there is where we grow them.
Ah, okay.
You can try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Did you bring the shoyu? Do they respond when you call their names?
There's too many of them. They used to have names, but not anymore. We have over 4 million.
Is that right? You designed this stuff yourself, huh?
Yes.
The way
we
these
made
are set up and everything?
Yeah. So they're probably 15 to 20 grams.
Yeah.
And they've just been put in here 3 months ago. And that was the size. You can see the little mark there with the color changes. So all this growth is in the last 3 months.
Oh, it's a shell now.
Yeah.
The mouth is right in there.
Yeah. And they eat at night. Well, out here I've actually found that they eat in the day as well because we have the shade and, you know.
Yeah.
But they mostly, if you come here at night, you know, they walk around in the basket and they're looking for food. Quite happy right now.
I think so.
Yeah.
They like being handled and petted and all that.
Yeah,
And
they
she-
actually get used to, you know, like when you come close to the tank, they think it's feeding time and they hang back to catch the food.
It's not a bad life, you know. You just,
No.
You don't think about being eaten. You have a nice life, and one day you get eaten.
Yes, it's a surprise, you know. Yeah, you just live in the moment and have a
Live
great
in the
time.
moment, right? That's what it's all about. We can learn from them.
Yeah, I think so.
So are you the chief scientist here?
Yeah, I would probably say so.
Okay. What, PhD?
No, I basically did my honors, but I've just been working with abalone since, yeah, right from varsity days.
Why did you choose abalone for a lifetime?
I think that was really the buzzword at the time when I finished varsity. People are doing aquaculture, abalone aquaculture, and it was just really starting to get big in South Africa, and there was a lot of opportunities. So
If I went to Cape Town, would I find everybody knows about aquaculture? Nobody opposes it or protests against it?
I think no.
You don't have activists who want to stop it or anything?
No,
Good.
I think people realize it's a good thing. It's necessary. I mean, it's basically stop people depleting the ocean, and we're doing it on land. It's as environmentally friendly as you can get in most ways. So.
It's a nice way to spend your life, actually, Cecilia.
It is, yeah. I must say. Let me show you the big ones, and yeah, I love it. It's a good direction.
Does it bother you to eat abalone? Do you?
I don't anymore.
I understand.
Yeah, I used to, but I think probably about 4 years into working with them. It's too close to home.
Yeah.
No, these guys are on their way to market, so they emit.
They're not thinking about that.
No.
You don't tell them, by the way, that they're on the way to market.
No, I haven't told them yet.
Yeah.
Then we went to talk with Mike Eldred at Makai Ocean Engineering. He's totally dedicated to development of ocean thermal energy, which could be a huge source of renewables for Hawaii.
Our program is OTEC heat exchanger development. We're trying to find material, the correct materials, so that they're long lasting. Seawater is very corrosive. There's only a certain amount of life that we can get out of any one heat exchanger before we have to replace it. If we can reduce the amount of times that we have to replace something, then it certainly reduces the total cost. Well, titanium is proven to be very long lasting in seawater. However, it's very expensive also. And so what we're looking at is building heat exchangers out of aluminum, which is 1/4 of the cost, but we're not sure if it can last quite as long yet. So that's why we're performing this corrosion experiment where we run cold seawater and warm seawater through all of our metal samples to determine which one is going to last the longest.
When you find a material you like, where would it go in the exchanger? I mean, is there a critical
Well, the entire
part?
heat exchanger is made of one material.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you're part of Lockheed's research then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, they're part of ours.
Okay, sorry I said that.
No, that's okay. Ocean thermal energy conversion is a renewable energy technology that takes heat away from the ocean to produce electricity. The ocean covers 2/3 of the planet, and so there's a lot of sunlight shining on it every day. For example, if 1/10 of 1% of all that energy were converted into electricity, it would power all of the needs of the U.S. for 20 times over
That would be
in
very
a given
desirable.
day. Yeah. So there's an enormous amount of energy that is available in the ocean. And some of the benefits, for example, of OTEC is that it's a renewable technology that's extremely clean. The only thing that the environment really sees is the inside of our little tubes in the heat exchangers. They come through, they give off heat, and then they pass back into the ocean.
Yeah.
So it's very clean. It's firm power. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Doesn't matter what the weather is.
Right.
How about the sea conditions?
The sea conditions are irrelevant, really. The system delivers power when you turn it on and let it ramp up to the specific power requirements, and then it runs forever, or until it needs to be shut down for maintenance or things like that.
This is very admirable. This could be the best of all the renewable sources.
Well, the power companies really love it because of the stable aspect of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, and the other thing is that it doesn't have to compete with other resources like land, for example. It's these power plants would be way offshore.
Why isn't it ready?
Well, we haven't been adequately funded by the government, for example, to research all the technical challenges that we need to overcome. That's essentially what it comes down to. We had a big push in the 70s to develop OTEC, and essentially we proved that it was viable. Now we have to prove that it's economical. We're trying to develop the pilot plant which shows the world that yes, it works, and we have a path for development, and in 20 years all of Hawaii can be powered entirely by renewable energy.
Oh, boy, that'll be fantastic.
This is a working OTEC power plant, with the exception that we don't have a turbine installed yet.
Okay, so we got to get this done.
That's
It's a good
absolutely
career
true.
for you, because
Yeah.
in the end it will succeed.
That's right.
I know that.
That's why I put my heart and soul into this project.
We checked in with Ryan Conroy, operations manager at Kona Coast Fish Company Hatchery, successor to Kona Blue Water Farms. Their operation is scheduled to resume this week.
We raise the baby fish, we have broodstock fish, collect the eggs from them, hatch them, grow the fish out until they're about 1 gram, about yay big. They move into these black tanks here, then they go offshore when they're about 10 grams, about yay big.
Okay. And this is the Kona Kampachi?
Yes, although Kona Kampachi is actually a trademark name by Kona Blue.
Yeah.
This is the same species of fish,
So what do you call it when you take it to market?
Hawaiian yellowtail.
Ah, okay, okay.
We transfer the fish offshore, and they do the bulk of their life cycle out in the water. originally we started out, Keyhole 8-point fish actually acquired the offshore lease, and just recently in November we acquired the hatchery here. So we're doing a lot of upgrades and construction, improving the site, improving the facility. And we're also going to be doing at another site down here that we've acquired, or we're in the process of acquiring, is some land-based grow out of Moy. This is going to be our take on it, like everyone to kind of work together. Hawaii is ripe to really expand with both open ocean and just marine aquaculture in general. A lot of it is working together. I think a lot of the companies have been working very independently of each other, and I think what needs to happen is a solidarity of a lot of the aquaculture companies that will help promote Hawaii aquaculture as a whole.
About promoting the industry in general.
Promoting the industry in general, and especially in Hawaii. I mean, that's what I think this area needs.
It's a branding thing.
It is.
Aquaculture from Hawaii.
Yes.
Which is one of the best places in the world to do aquaculture.
It is.
How old is the company? Give me a little history.
Keyhole 8-point fish was incorporated in November 2009. And it's actually affiliated with Ocean Spar, which makes the Station cages. It then acquired the lease offshore from Kona Blue, and then it's now moved into the hatchery arena.
When do you expect to be able to get into the regular production?
We're planning on starting a run in Monday. Monday.
Came too early.
Yeah. More eggs. And that's our plan. That's why we're ramping up here.
This is great. It's a propitious day. I'm so happy to be here. That looks. What is this? Sardines? What
Sardines.
Yeah.
So this is
tasty.
This is for the broodstock fish.
Now the broodstock. Where did they come from?
They're all wild caught.
Wild caught. Wow.
Yeah. We've done some work with the fish we've produced, but generally the quality of spawn we get, the eggs are better with the wild.
You always catch them wild.
With our current model, yes. Doing a long-term broodstock plan does make a lot of sense. So with as long as it takes for the fish to mature, to go through a multi-generation broodstock program, it just takes time. Just have to plan for it.
So how do you catch them?
We have a local fisherman we work with.
Oh, have him catch them.
Have him catch him. He has a big live well. We've been working with him for a few years. He knows what we want.
Oh, that's great.
Brings them in good quality. The average size in that tank is going to be about between 10 and 15 pounds. Take a look through the window and I'll throw from the top.
Oh. Oh. The size of those fish, boy, they're huge.
It's a pleasure.
Take care.
Finally, we stopped by at Sopogy's Keyhole solar plant at NELHA, which has, count 'em, 1,008 solar collector units, and talk with the plant operator, Dean Towle.
This is the solar power plant. We collect heat from the sun and transfer it into electric energy onto the grid.
Now these are incredible high-tech solar collectors, and they're all facing straight up because it's close to noon, right?
They're just very simple mirrors that reflect the light onto the collector pipe, and the collector pipe collects the heat and transfers the heat with oil over to the facility.
Those big tanks over there, is that?
Yeah, the big tank. There is a plan for expansion, and just on the far side of the property, they're going to duplicate the same field, so we'll have twice the amount after that.
So what's that unit in the middle? It seems to be upside down.
Well, it is upside down. That is a prototype of their next generation of collector. That's called the Helios. The big pipe here that we're standing next to, this is where all of the oil gets transferred out into the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And then it gets distributed out through all these loops.
Yeah.
And back. It gets collected in another pipe, and the other pipe is way down at the other end. And that's the supply line that brings it to the facility.
So now, I know this is a green machine generator set.
That's right.
And it's actually generating some energy, some electrical energy right now, huh?
Yes.
Rather.
These tanks are our storage tanks. For the heated water that we collect. So we bring the hot oil over to this heat exchanger, and it transfers the heat into water, and we can store the hot water, or we can transfer the heat directly down to the engines. And actually we do a little of both. There's 9,000 gallons of storage here, and that gives us the capacity to run 2 hours after the sun has gone away.
So theoretically, if I made it 4 times the size, I could have 8 hours of storage.
That's right, theoretically.
You could get overnight that way.
Yes,
You could use solar over a 24-hour period that way.
if you had enough storage, that's right. And so it is an industrial generator in that we produce more energy than we use, and the surplus goes onto the grid.
So right now, it's putting power on the grid right now.
We are, as we speak. The first thing about the storage tanks is when a cloud comes over and the array cools off, the computer automatically switches it and continues to produce power even though there's a shade on the collectors.
So you got smooth power.
Smooth power output, yes.
So where's the device that converts the hot oil to hot water?
That's right here.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
That's a heat exchanger. And, ouch, that's pretty hot.
Don't hurt yourself, Dean.
You're a lawyer, right? You can,
Yeah, but I'm not a doctor.
yeah. So,
That's
yeah,
hot. That's
yeah,
hot.
that's about 200 degrees right there.
Yeah.
Like a radiator,
Yeah.
150 plates here
Yeah, yeah.
that are all this big. And that exchanges the heat from the oil into the water. When a vertical post casts a shadow at solar noon, it's pointing exactly true north. And that's how we line up our collectors.
You know, Duke, I was the director of NELHA a few years ago, and I went out there every month. I had lots of tours there, but now it's really developed, you know. Under the tutelage of CEO Ron Baird, it's much more tech. It's what I would have preferred even back then, because now he has encouraged tech companies of all kinds and sizes to come out there, and it has become a magnet for tech and tech development.
It's an amazing place.
It is, and it offers great possibility for Hawaii. We should put more attention in NELHA. We should put more money in NELHA, more focus. And we should do another show about NELHA.
Now here's our ThinkTech calendar of events.
On February 24th, we'll present a luncheon program on the business opportunities presented by the APEX Summit next November. Our panel is awesome. Lieutenant Governor Brian Schatz, Ambassador Lauren Moriarty, Jim Tollison of the Chamber of Commerce, Dick Baker of the East-West Center, and our own Darren Kimura of Sopogy. What a panel. This one you've got to see.
On March 23rd, we'll present a major half-day program called Housing in Hawaii, dealing with our problems in providing housing for Hawaii's people.
On April 28th, we'll present a luncheon program called Reciprocal Investments Between Hawaii and China.
And now, here's Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
It's been a while since we've been in high school, but if you recall, there wasn't really much to expose you as a high school student to career opportunities.
True.
Wood shop, metal shop, and you know, you're taking courses like calculus and physics and trigonometry, and it's like, what does this mean? How am I going to use this in my life? Well, the Federal Department of Education has a program called Career Technical Education, which is now pervasive throughout Hawaii high schools, that gives kids a vision of what they could do in the future. It's called Career Pathways. I'm so impressed with this program. I've been a judge for the last several years for their high school business plan competition. They also do a marketing competition. They have programs in healthcare, technical engineering, and environment. And so what I'm seeing is these kids are motivated, and the curriculum is very well thought out. It has to meet particular standards, so it's not just a fluffy thing. So I wanted to just let your viewers understand that, hey, there's something really good going on, and if their kids have a chance to participate, they should encourage them, because I think there's more out there than surf and sun and partying, and these kids work very hard, and they impress me every year.
That's how we get to the next step. You know, we build high school graduates who can see into their lives and see into the future, who are prepared to work in the new economy.
That's right. And it gives relevance to their education. They're not just sitting there wondering why they have to learn these things, but now they understand, gee, if I study, I can be an entrepreneur. I can be a marketing expert. I can have a job that's more meaningful.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation. Jay Scheidler, through the Scheidler Family Foundation, is an active supporter of a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech Hawaii.
Hawaiian Electric Company, HECO and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to supporting the communities they serve.
Galen Ho. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, which has a large presence in and commitment to Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, HTDC, is a state agency dedicated to developing Hawaii's high-tech industry, diversifying our economy, and providing quality jobs for our people.
Okay, Duke, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week, just like Duke does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech. Tune in next week for our show on finding new ways to fight an old foe at the American Cancer Society. Aloha, everyone.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.